from the chasms of Mordor, from the darkest pits of the world, from the most horrifying, terrifying, hideous crimes, comes Lufia, the ruins of law. An abomination. But we're here to talk about why did it fail. Lufia Ruins of Law in the Lufia community is known as the quite hands down worst game, very agreed upon the best game in the fucking franchise. I would even hold the damn DS game higher regards it. And I know a lot of people hate that one simply because it went more of a Kingdom Hearts route instead of remaining true to turn-based roots. But this game is turn-based like its roots, so why does it fail? It fails because it's broken! Let me explain. So, the Ruins of Law did not get developed by Neverland, who sadly don't exist anymore. They went out of business late last year, which is a real shame. But moving on, Neverland did not have anything to do with Ruins of Law, and they did have something to do with every single Lufia title, which includes the one on the DS, which is another reason why that one's probably better. But this game was developed by another company, and the company that published the Lufia games in Japan, aside from the DS one, because by that time they got gobbled up by Square Enix or Soft or whichever the one they were at the time, but they got Taito. Taito was the publisher of the Lufia games in Japan, so they basically commissioned this company to make another Lufia game. Now, this game takes place 20 years after Lufia 2's ending, so you think it'd have a lot of fun connections. No! There's not a lot of fun connections. There's very few, and what few there are mostly suck. And Deckard doesn't look anything like himself. If anything, he looks even worse than his DS counterpart, which, of course, that's a subjective opinion, but, yeah, I don't know how much worse you can get there. I don't know, I just kind of like the blue in his hair with the pink. So, yeah. But, the game takes no advantage at all of being really connected to Lufia at all. Not in the slightest. It only has a few towns and few small little teeny weeny little references to the game, and that's about it. It really just does its own thing, and that wouldn't be absolutely terrible if it wasn't for the fact that the most important thing of being a game is to be a game. And the only things that don't need to worry about gameplay are visual novels, because those are a different form of engagement. But this game is like, I don't know, this is like on par to Dragon Song, Lunar Dragon Song, and disappointment and poor programming. But you know what? I might go on a limb here, and I might change my mind in the future, but I might go on a limb here and say this game is even worse than Dragon Song. And I would probably say that simply because at least the characters in Dragon Song have some variety of abilities to some extent. In this game, it has a job class system in this game, and it fails in all fronts. Like, it's not like in an abusive fashion where you can merge classes. It's not. It's like all these abilities you can get from these different job classes have so much limited use or actually are fucking worthless. I found /R, one of the most basic moves you can learn from one of the classes, to be more useful than tons of skills that have elemental effects and shit in almost all situations. It was almost pointless to ever use anything else except for /R, and /R costed less MP to use versus a lot of those other abilities that costed more. There was no balancement to any of the skills, so you would waste tons of time in these job classes, and it just never felt like there was any real things you were learning that were incredibly useful. You basically just wanted to get healing and anything that would hit everything. A lot of the individual single moves don't deal enough damage for the cost it takes to use them and the damage output versus other shit. It's just so fucking stupid. And I know I waddled and ranted about this in my review of the game, but it's just so piss poor. Like, I mean, you know, a lot of people bitch about Japanese RPGs grinding, doing the same thing over and over again, but this is literally almost to the exact dot of grinding and doing the same shit over and over again for almost the entire fucking game. It's... I don't understand how the fuck they've... Like, I'm not usually one to really go insane about balance, but when everything is like broken and not, it's just, it really makes you feel like you wasted so much fucking time with this game. And the story in my opinion is shit because it takes place in the Lufia's universe, and it kind of does like what Final Fantasy 10-2, not 10-2, I mean 13-2 did, where it kind of shifted that the kind of mood the games bring. You know, like Final Fantasy 13 was about, you know, like trying to defy this irreversible fate that you were being pushed towards that you didn't want to do, basically. And then 13-2 is like, time travel, Dark Brown, let's go. I mean, it's such a really different fucking mood, like a mood to the whole fucking atmosphere of the world. And Wounds of Lore goes to fucking outer space near the end of the game. It's like, the fucking hell is going on in this game? And it talks about legends and shit that never even came up at all in the game. And to be honest, at first I was starting to think there might have actually been, like, you know, some semblance of maybe related to, like, the past of the Sentinels when you went to, the weird city in a different time period. But that was a lost cause of any usage, though. This game is just so dreadful. And the puzzle solving is just watered down piss. Like, Lufia 2, some people actually say the ultimate puzzle thing at that mountain, I think it was that mountain, is considered like the hardest puzzle in the kind of moving around blocks kind of puzzle. I can't remember how many moves you have to do it in, but a lot of people notoriously call that one of the most complicated puzzles in video games at times. And Lufia 2 had lots of wonderful, creative, interesting puzzles that sometimes weren't even relevant to needed to be solved, and sometimes were just for treasure. And there was fun, hidden shit in the game. A lot of the upgrades and things are poor in this game. There's a lack of variety of stuff to buy and upgrade to, and the puzzles are just so piss poor. Like, literally, they are some of the most basic puzzles you've ever seen, and it surprises me how a game that's so old compared to this is so much vastly superior to this piece of shit. It's such a shame this thing even shares the Lufia title. And the graphics, I know this is such a rare thing for me to ever bitch about, but the graphics are just fucking awful. And I know it's a Game Boy Advance game, and, you know, I love sprite animation shit, but this game just looks so awful. Like, the NPCs are so fucking awful. There's no life to this world. I mean, I know the Lufia games didn't, like, Lufia 1 had a pretty generic kind of thing, but this is, like, not just simply generic, this is just lifeless piss, it's just, and the profile images that pop up, it's like, I don't know maybe I just don't like the art style, but it just looks awful to me. And, like, the reception to basically all these elements, you know, like, admittedly, you know, I'm just basically being a fan ranting on the other games, and this game doesn't live up to it. And I know that's a common thing that a lot of people say with, like, the Future Silent Hill games, that, you know, you're holding it in regard to a title you hold higher than it, and basically you're never going to see anything ever live up to it. But personally, I would call you out on that because I actually like the DS title. So that doesn't work very well in your regard there. But, I actually understand that argument. So, and it's not even that. This isn't like the Devil May Cry reboot and stuff, where it's just an outrage to fan base. No, this game is designed awful. It's just designed so freaking awful. There's so many problems, and there's weird layer glitches on a few areas in 2, which, that wouldn't normally be a big thing if the game was actually good, but this game did not come out to really big fan likes. Oddly enough, when it did come out, it did get average reviews from some of the, like GameSpot and Nintendo Power and shit, and that was kind of weird, because when it came to the fans of the game, it pretty much got pissed on like hell. Hell, people will be like, nobody talks about that. I've actually, when I was Let's Playing the game, I actually talked to someone who was just like, we don't talk about that game here. Like, this game's like just taboo to the fan base of this series. And most people just seemed to find it simple, to just ignore it, and think it doesn't even exist. If you have any curiosity for this game, which does, like, Lunar Dragon Song, you can find like for $1 or $2 at some used stores. Like, I've seen it for $1 or $2 at some used stores, because they can't get with it, because it's like the Goku Legacy on the DS. This game sadly does not go that cheap. I don't know its current demanding, but it was about $15 when I got it, and I got this for, I believe, $10, I believe, and it is not worth it. It is garbage. The final boss doesn't eat, like, if anyone knows what I think of a final boss in an RPG, it should challenge the core mechanics of what you learn through the game. And that final boss is just a giant meat bag that you just deal as much damage as you can to and shit. It's just... Ugh. Oh, and I didn't even talk about the Pokemon whip-off aspect. You thought this was over, didn't you? I'm pulling a spoonie here, folks. Pulling a spoonie here. Yes, it has a Pokemon whip-off element, which actually could have been a saving grace element if it wasn't for the fact that near the end of the game, monsters become really, really worthless unless you basically make the ultimate monsters, which you can, but that's a lot of additional work to make and level up and all that freaking shit. Basically, all the monsters, like, for a good chunk of the game, the monsters can be useful. But near the end, I would tell you, the boss, unless it's like one of the like top 3 ultimate monsters you could make, the final boss is gonna fucking bull rush over that damn thing like a bulldozer and crush that thing into the ground. It's fucking ridiculous. All the monsters I had became completely worthless in its wake, and it's just... you deal all that work in that raising and doing shit with your monsters and transferring abilities and shit, and they just turn out worthless in the final boss. But no, for the rest of the game, they're pretty decent in there. But at the end, it's just... Well, I hope you used that one character with the hammer who really isn't that good, because he's going to be the only one who can survive versus your monster you usually replaced him with. So, I don't know, and it's just... And of course, they changed the magic system because they added a job system. They basically means that you have to be a magic class to learn magic, as opposed to in the previous games where you actually bought magic, like a really old RPG like Final Fantasy 1 and stuff like Ultima and that. And, that's an arguable change there, and I wouldn't probably mind that if the fucking job systems were much use. Anywho, That was probably just a really long rant, and I can understand it. But, I think it's important to get that point across, because that's basically how most people in the Lufia fan base really feel. Maybe not everyone. I mean, Uno Dragon Song has its fans, and it wouldn't surprise me if this game did too. So, don't take it personally, but this game sucks really bad, and it failed with a lot of good reasons. There's, as far as I can tell you, in my opinion, my subjective opinion, there was nothing redeeming in this game at all. And unless you're a hardcore fan like me of the franchise and you just gotta play them all, pass this damn thing because it's awful. Awful. And it deserves to be forgotten and never show up on the forgotten games. Never! Ever. So, we'll get a potato gun, blow that damn motherfucking thing out of the wall! Okay, anyway. Oh, by the way, update. I got a container for your poster, by the way. I got to kind of shorten it a little bit, but I'm getting on that. Anyway, that's completely irrelevant. So anyway, Lufia, Wounds of Lore for the Game Boy Advance definitely gets a thumb down, thumb down, thumb down, thumb down. And just burn them all. Burn them all like Shaq Fu. Burn them. By the way, did you know they're making a new Shaq Fu? The fuck was they thinking?